Hey guys, what's going on? It's me, Jay, here to talk a little bit about uh, sad news to report in the world of entertainment. Uh, a legendary entertainer, Paul Reubens, aka the actor who portrayed Pee Wee Herman in the legendary '80s TV show, uh, a show that lasted from 1986 to 1991. Pee Wee's Playhouse has now passed away at age 70 from cancer. Uh, yeah, Paul Rubens was a megastar in the 1980s. Somebody who is a cultural icon of that era, somebody that I associate automatically, mentally, in my mind with that particular era, that particular time frame, that particular period, because I was a small child during that particular period. I had all the toys. I had the sofa, Cherry. I had action figures of his, and I watched the show almost religiously uh, when it came to that. Of course, he was associated with some sketchy stuff, particularly in the sexual department. In 1991, he was arrested um, on charges of public nudity, and that pretty much did end his career. After that, he returned to make several cameos in other types of films. Hang on, guys. In other types of films, like Blow and things of that nature, more mature things. But he never really again returned to that essence of that childhood character. In fact, he had built it up that way. He was so protective of the character initially that he didn't even allow. He was an avid smoker, but he didn't even allow himself to be filmed with a cigarette in his mouth because he didn't want it to come across as he was influencing kids to smoke. So he built up this squeaky clean image for himself, and when it was discovered that that image wasn't exactly up to par, he was it was tarnished, and he never again he never again recovered. In fact, his name became so linked to pornography that he was even later on did a cameo in um, Boogie Nights, a movie about the inception of pornography. Unfortunately, the kind of pornography that he was linked to wasn't just regular pornography. It was child pornography, which is so disturbing considering that the character became such an icon in child uh, 1980s childhood. Many people know the 1988 movie Pee Wee's Big Adventure, which was where he got his big break, or initially the 1980 movie Cheech and Chong's Next Move. Like I said, the character was um, it was developed during a time when he was involved with improv comics, the Groundlings in Florida, and in a way, it was kind of like it wasn't as bad, but it became kind of like the UK comic Jimmy Salvo, where uh, Jimmy Salvo was like Pee Wee Herman, linked to such childhood memories, and then to find out such sinister things about him was just disheartening. Of course, many people know from the movie the Pee Wee Herman dance, the tequila dance, which his last public appearance that I remember him on the VMAs in 1991 when after this happened, um, he did as the character. Later years, like in the 2010s, he tried to return back with the character. He even did a stint in WWE, like around 2011, where he returned as the character. But the the magic was already gone from the character, and people weren't buying into it because of the sinister things that were associated with him. Here's the guy who tried so hard to, like I said, protect his public image, but in reality, he was just a perverted person, with a lot of weird sexual proclivities. Um, and we didn't know that. The style was very unique. The idea of the character was like a character that was supposed to be not funny, but ironically funny, and just weird and quirky. And then they took it and ran with it, and because it became so popular in the childhood, in the child slots, he became somehow a child character, even though it was an adult character. A lot of the interactions with like Miss Yvonne or Cowboy Curtis on the show initially, if you go back and look, was were very sexual, very drug induced. I mean, the character, like I said, came from Cheech and Chong. The first cameo ever did publicly, Cheech and Chong show. I mean, if that's not sexual or drug related, I don't know what is. It was funny because I was thinking about him earlier today. Before I heard this news of his passing, I was thinking about him and how he did that PSA, that public service announcement on crack cocaine in the 80s. And then how ironic it was that later on he would go to star in Johnny Depp's movie Blow. It's like, damn, you did that PSA and here you are, doing, not doing Blow, but doing the movie Blow. So he was a really weird, quirky character. I don't think he'll be remembered fondly by a lot of people because of the scandals. You know what I mean? But he had his moment in time. He had his time when he was one of the biggest um, childhood icons, childhood characters of the 1980s. His look was iconic. His look stood out. If you saw Paul Reubens' look when he was dressed as the Pee Wee Herman character, you knew that it was Pee Wee Herman. You knew that he, the knee high socks, the gray suit, the bow tie. You knew that character. Like I said, I, born premature as I was, so small, I shared my nickname during childhood was inspired by him. You know what I mean? So I kind of liked him back in the day. But when I found, I remember being one of the first stories that I remember hearing about as a kid. I was like 6, 7, hearing about, uh, him. And it was like, damn, he really did that. And it was like, I couldn't really fuck with him anymore. You know what I mean? I couldn't really co-sign him because I'm like, damn, that's really perverted. Like that went against everything that I believed about him initially. So as we talked about earlier in the last video, I don't like hypocrisy. I don't like people that portray a public face, and in in reality they are something else. And to be quite honest, his, as an adult, as I watch his character, it wasn't all that funny. It wasn't all that great. I mean, the look was way out there, the antics, but once you saw it once, you saw it, and that was it. I mean, he gave Lawrence Fishburne his start. Many people don't know. Many people forget that Lawrence Fishburne was Cowboy Curtis before he was on Boys in the Hood. Before he was the dad on Boys in the Hood, he was Cowboy Curtis on the Pee Wee Herman show. Um, so yeah, that's it. Rest in peace to Paul Reubens, the character of Pee Wee Herman. You know, can't judge him. Didn't know him personally, but some of that stuff I can't rock with it, bro. You know what I mean? Like that's pretty weird. You know what I mean? Considering how you were put out in the front there. I know it was a reluctant character for kids. It wasn't meant for kids, but you tailored it. You tailored it for kids. You began to tailor it for kids, and knowing what we know about you, it's really predatory. You know what I mean? It's really predatory. Look like you were preying on kids. But anyway, only God knows what he really did, or if any of that's really true. You know what I mean? Only God can judge him. But damn, really fucked up. And and one of the people that defended him, ironically, another quote unquote wholesome character typified of the 1980s. Like I said, 1980s culture, very conservative, very straight laced type culture. One of the people that defended him was Bill Cosby, who, again, allegedly convicted of, accused of heinous sexual crimes. But one of the things I found out interesting about Paul Rubin, about his dad, initially his dad was one of the first Americans to serve in the Arab-Israeli conflict in 1948. So, and he grew up as an Orthodox Jew. And he was initially one of the writers for Saturday Night Live. And Gilbert Godfrey got the part before him. Instead of him, they had similar comedic stylings. But it is what it is. Pee Wee Herman, only God could judge his soul. Dun, 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 his dance. You know? But, and don't forget, guys, comment, like, and subscribe. Crack is whack. Peace.